What's up, guys? Welcome to a new video. So I wanted to share with you guys my first build since the actual launch of D4. I went with the Rogue, Twisting Blades. Super fun build. It's really strong, like all the way around. Good at killing bosses, clearing packs. Really fast build. Strong from like level 1 all the way up to, I'm level 65 right now. I'm in Torment difficulty, World Tier 4, and I haven't had a problem all the way through. So we're going to be going over pretty much every aspect of the build, the abilities, the skill tree, the gear that I'm wearing, the Paragon Board. I'd really recommend this build. Super fun and just a legitimate build. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and stick around. If you guys end up liking the video, if it helps you out, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it and helps the channel grow. All right, let's jump right into it. So let's go ahead and jump in. Straight off, we'll go ahead and talk about our skills. Basically, we have Twisting Blades, which is our main DPS output, our main damage output. Basically, you shank people with your blades. They return to you, and then we have a modifier right up here on our amulet. Basically, you see right there, Twisting Blades orbits for a short time after they return to you, dealing 18% of Twisting Blades return damage per hit. Based on the distance the blades return, the orbit damage increases up to 36% of the return damage. But basically, you stick your blades in somebody, they return to you, and on the return, they're going to circle around you. You clear packs fast, you kill enemies fast. But yeah, that's going to be our main damage output, which is Twisting Blades. Right here, for our basic skill, we have Puncture. Basically, you want to take this early on until you are able to spec into Twisting Blades. What this does is it has a few different things that we'll go over in the skill tree, but basically it regenerates our resource for us when we're out of resources. Twisting Blades uses a lot of resources, and we do have ways to get around that, though, and things that I'll show you in the stuff when we go over it right now. Next up, we have two mobility skills. So we have Dash and we have Shadow Step. Dash is awesome. Shadow Step is awesome. Both of these are going to help you be stealthy. This one makes it to where you go unstoppable for a little while. You go through packs. Also, you hit people with these, and basically they're considered crowd controlled. So then we have damage modifiers for crowd control. We'll get more into that into the skill tree also. Right over here, we use Dark Shroud. Now, Dark Shroud's nice. You get up to 5 Dark Shrouds. Each one has 8.4% damage reduction for you, which is pretty nice. And then also for each one that you have up, you get 4% increased movement speed. And then down here, we also use Poison Trap. We use it on bosses. We use it on packs. Basically knocks down enemies, slows them down, lets you move in for the kill. And it also does a decent amount of poison damage to them. So for the gear, I'm briefly just going to go through this kind of quick. For the helmet right here, the aspect that we have is gain 0.50% increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 50%, which this is a huge one. This is a really defensive one. It's one that you want to try to get. If you can find that aspect, you definitely want to get it. Down here into the armor, basically we just have a damage barrier right here in the gloves, right here. Now, this aspect's kind of cool. I found this one. Critical strikes with core skills, which would be our Twisting Blades, increase your attack speed by 20% for 5 seconds. Basically, we're always having our core skills going, so we're always having 20% increased attack speed, which is really nice. Down here into the pants, right here, basic skills grant 20% damage reduction for 4 seconds. Our basic skill is our Puncture that we're going to be using here and there in between Twisting Blades. So we're always going to end up having that damage reduction, which is really nice. I mean, you don't have to have that aspect, but if you can find that one, it's really good. It's defensive. Down here into the boots, we got this one for Shadow Step, this aspect right here. Also notice on the boots, the energy cost reduction. Now, you want to try to get that on as many pieces of gear that you can, because it helps where you can cast Twisting Blades as often as possible. Down here, now this is basically just a stat stick. We don't use this crossbow at all, but you can see down there for the aspect, deal 15% increased damage for each second you stand still up to 30%, which when we're casting Twisting Blades, in 2 seconds I got a 30% increase to my damage, which is really nice. And then also you get all of those damage modifiers below that last line right there, so that all adds to the damage that you do with Twisting Blades. Over here for our necklace, we got some pretty good mods on right here. We have cooldown reduction for our skills. We got 13% energy cost reduction, which is really nice. Once again, we want to try to get that on all the gear that we can. And then we got the aspect for Twisting Blades, which makes it to where the blades circle around us and do more damage. Now, here is a ring that you want to get. Now, you will get this ring at the end of the game. When you kill Lilith, she'll drop it for you. Right down there, the aspect that you see on this unique ring. If a core skill hits 5 or more enemies, 40% of the resource cost is refunded to you. We're always hitting 5 or more enemies. We're just blasting through packs. So this is a really good way to regenerate our resources, and it's just constantly refilling our thing. It's really good. Right here, this is the other one. Now, you want to look for this. Now, you can get this from a dungeon and craft it on, but you don't want to do that with this aspect because you only restore 1 of your primary resource when you crowd control an enemy. See, when we're like dashing through, we're slowing and stunning the enemies, and we're crowd controlling all those enemies. And for each enemy that we crowd control, I'm getting back 4 of my primary resource. So that's a really good way, and you want to look for that aspect as well. You don't want to craft it. Like if you craft it, like I said, you only get 1 back, which is kind of weak. Down here, you know, I just have the best sword and dagger that I've found so far. I'm going to try to go with daggers in the long runs, but basically, like, I'm going for as much damage as I possibly can. Right here, you know, the aspect on this one right here, I have skills deal up to 18% increased damage based on your available primary resource when cast, receiving the maximum benefit while you have full primary resources. So we're getting an 18% damage amplifier for our resources, up to 18%, that is, you know, so that's really nice. It's a nice damage boost. Inside of your weapons, you want to throw the you want to socket in the gems to get the critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies in both of your weapons, and you also want to socket those in right here on your bow and your stat stick, because that also counts towards your main for your twisting blades. We'll go ahead and jump into our specialization. Now, this one for this build is really simple. It's a no-brainer. We're going to go with inner sight right here. Attack marked enemies to fill up your inner sight gauge. When it is full, gain unlimited energy for 4 seconds, which is really nice. You know, we have this little energy thing down here. Right next to it, we have inner sight. Basically, this will fill up when you attack the enemies that are marked with this. Once it does, you have 4 seconds of unlimited energy, so you can just sit there and spam twisting blades, whether it's on a boss or whatever. And actually, for bosses, it works out really good. I mean, bosses just melt with this build because we're pretty much always having a ton of energy to kill the bosses. Alright guys, now we'll go ahead and jump into our ability. First we'll start off with the skill tree. So we'll come up here to the top. Basically, we're going to start off right here. We're going to throw a point into puncture. Now, at this point, I only have 1 point into it. That's all I need. We just use this basically to regain energy. You know, at the very beginning when you first start leveling, if you want to go into that and use it for damage until you're able to come down here into twisting blades, you can, or whatever you want into it. We're going to come back, grab enhanced puncture, then fundamental puncture to throw more blades. Now we're going to come down into our core skill, which is going to be twisting blades. This is our main damage output. Awesome skill. As you can see right here, we're going to come back to enhanced twisting blades. Twisting blades deals 30% increased damage when returning. Then right behind that, we're going to get advanced twisting blades. Now, this has been nerfed recently. I've actually switched back and forth on these so that I'm dazing impaled enemies too sometimes. I think overall, just getting the cooldown reduction for our skills is kind of good, though, even though it's kind of weak. You only get 0.10 of a second per enemy they pass through, up to 2 seconds. Like I said, they did nerf it, but you can still go into it. It'll help your cooldowns a little bit. You would definitely want to get twisting blades max as far as you can, and then try to get as many ranks up on your gear as you can for twisting blades also. You want to get the highest level possible for that. Right down here now, we have 3 points into this. You gain 12% close damage reduction. We're always in the enemy's faces. We need that damage reduction. Really nice to have. This is basically going to be our life leech right here, siphoning strikes. I put 3 points into this. Heal for 3% of your maximum life when you critically strike close enemies. And we're, with all of our stuff on our Paragon board and our tree, you know, we have like a base of almost 20% critical strike chance, not including all of the buffs that we have to it, which makes it even higher. We're always crit striking, so you're constantly going to be, you know, getting health back from this right here. So next we come down into our agility skills. We're going to want to take Shadow Step. Shadow Step's really nice. Become unstoppable and quickly move through shadows to stab your victim from behind. When you're unstoppable, you don't take any damage for a few seconds. This itself does the decent amount of damage. Gets you behind the enemies. Right up here, damaging an enemy with Shadow Step increases your critical strike chance against them by 8% for 3 seconds. There's another way to get more crit, you know, right here, methodical shadow step. Enemies damaged by shadow step are stunned for 2 seconds. And basically stunning the enemies is good because that's a form of crowd control. And then all of our pluses to damage on crowd control enemies come into play. Right over here, we're going to want to get the weapon mastery at some point. You know, it gives increased damage to our daggers. For swords, it gets increased damage. It's just really nice to have. We're also going to get dash right here. This is really good to fly through the packs, fly around constantly, do damage. And then also we're setting up crowd control with this as well, because if you look down here, enemies damaged by dash take more crit damage. And then down here, dash slows enemies. It hits by 30% for 3 seconds. Any enemy already slowed will be dazed for 2 seconds. So both slow and daze are considered crowd control effects. So, you know, our enemies are crowd controlled with those as well. Next up, we're going to come down in here into our subterfuge skills. Basically, we're going to get poison trap. It's going to do some damage. It's going to knock down enemies, slow enemies. It's just going to help you out overall. Use it on bosses. Use it in the middle of packs. It cools down pretty quick. We're going to come down and get enhanced poison trap. Poison trap knocks down enemies for 1.5 seconds, which is really nice. Right here, subverting poison trap. You deal 10% increased poison damage to enemies standing inside your poison trap. So, you know, just really nice to have. Over here, we're going to get dark shroud. Gives you damage reduction for each one of the 5 dark shrouds that you have. Gives you movement speed. Really nice to have. Come back here, get an enhanced dark shroud. There's a 10% chance for when you're hit that it won't be consumed, because every time you get hit, it'll take away one of your dark shrouds. So right here, you have a 10% chance not to consume it. Right here, subverting dark shroud. Each active shadow from dark shroud grants you 4% increased movement speed. So, you know, you got five going on at once. That's 20% increased movement speed. Pretty nice. I love zooming around too, so especially got to have that. Right here, we're going to go into exploit. You deal 18% increased damage to healthy and injured enemies. And then down here, we're going to go into malice. You deal 6% increased damage to vulnerable enemies, which every enemy that we hit is going to be vulnerable, and I'll show you why once we go over into the Paragon board. And then let's see, down here into imbuement skills, we're not going to take anything. We don't touch any of that, well, the actual skills themselves, but we do want to put one into deadly venom. That way we can get back here to debilitating toxins. Poison enemies deal 15% less damage. So anytime you use that poison trap, those enemies inside of it are going to deal less damage to you, whether it's a boss, whatever it is. Right here, I got one into alchemical advantage. You gain 1% increased attack speed for each enemy you've poisoned up to 15%. And if you're laying that poison trap all the time, I mean, you're poisoning a lot of enemies, so that's a nice boost to your attack speed. We're going to come down here into the ultimate skills. Now, we didn't take any ultimate skills. Now, if you wanted to, you could go ahead and you could drop Dark Shroud if you don't want to have that extra survivability and movement speed. And you could get yourself Shadow Clone, which basically throws a clone of yourself out there. Come back here, you get this. You're unstoppable when you first cast him. Get this, he does 20% more damage. So basically overall with all 3 of these, he'll be doing 80% of the damage you do. And he's up for 15 seconds. I didn't want to go that route. You know, some other people go over here into Death Trap, which I've seen some nice builds for that. Didn't want to go that route either. So we didn't take any ultimate skills, or I didn't anyways. You could if you wanted to. But we did take Trap Mastery. When Poison Trap or Death Trap activates, you gain 12% increased critical strike chance against vulnerable and crowd control enemies. And every enemy we hit is vulnerable, and we're always crowd controlling. So basically, that's more crit chance. Right here, Innervation. Lucky hit, up to 30% chance to gain 8 energy. So, you know, with our lucky hit, 30% of the time with all of our hits that we're doing, which is the twisting blades, you know, when we're impaling them with them, when they're spinning around us, you know, every hit that we do with our traps, with our skills when we're moving around, it's all gaining us resource. You know what I mean? So that kind of helps to solve our resource problem with twisting blades as well. Get 3 points into that. Then we're going to come up here to second wind. Every 100 energy you spend grants you 15% increased lucky hit chance for 5 seconds. So that brings our lucky hit up even higher, which is nice. We have a ton of lucky hit on this build. And, you know, Twisting Blades also has a high lucky hit chance as well on its own. Come down here, get 1 into Adrenaline Rush. Then we want to get 3 down here into Haste. While at above 50 maximum energy, gain 15% increased movement speed. So we're zooming around with that more. While below 50% maximum energy, gain 15% increased attack speed. So this is just good. Either way, you know, you're getting a good benefit from this. For our key passive, we want to go right here with momentum. Now this just synergizes great with twisting blades. So, you know, cutthroat skills grant a stack of momentum for 8 seconds if they either daze, stun a frozen enemy, hit an enemy from behind, which we're always doing those things. We're not freezing, but the other things we're always doing. And then while at 3 stacks, you get 20% increased damage reduction, 30% increased mana regeneration, 15% movement speed. Basically, that's always up. So that's momentum's definitely what we're going to go with on this. Now we'll go over here into the Paragon board. So by no means, guys, is this Paragon board optimized. This is what I went with, and it seemed to be working out so far pretty good. I do pretty decent damage. I mean, I've seen damage ticks of 80, 90k, and that's at level 65, and I'm going to end up doing a lot more. So, and also before we get into the Paragon board, I will be doing another follow-up build guide to this build when I get to a higher level, maybe in the 80s or 90s, when it's more optimized and the Paragon board is more filled out and I have better gear on. So anyways, let's get into the Paragon board. Obviously, you start down here. We're going to run our way up through the dexterity. Dexterity gives us damage. We definitely want to go with that. Grab this damage node. Grab this rare prime node. Come up here. We want to get this glyph right here, glyph socket. Basically, this one gives us 33.3% cutthroat skill damage. Now, we're getting that because if you see right down there, for every 5 dexterity purchased within radius, cutthroat skills do 3.7% increased damage. So all of the dexterity nodes out here, 0.7% damage, 3.7%, just all the way around. Now, and we also need to get a certain amount of them, because when we get those, we get an additional bonus from this glyph. And you see right there, while wielding a melee weapon, you take 10% reduced damage. So you want to get closer as one of your glyphs for sure. Okay. And then around here, you know, after I had went up here, I grabbed some other stuff. On this side, I grabbed some stuff, 20% damage, dexterity. Went out here, got more damage. Ended up coming back down here for a little resistance and maximum life. Okay, so right here, this is the board that we chose. We went with the legendary cheap shot node on that board. So that's the board that you want to choose. You know, guys, don't be intimidated by the Paragon board. It's more deceiving than it looks. I mean, if you actually get into it, it's really pretty straightforward. So you can rotate this and connect it however you want. You can path any way that you want to do it. So basically what I did is I got this cheap shot board. Now, really important for the build, we want to get this exploit glyph right here. The reason that we want the exploit glyph is because you can see right there, when an enemy is damaged by you, they become vulnerable for 3 seconds. Okay, when an enemy vulnerable basically makes it to where every enemy that's vulnerable is taking 20% more damage from your physical damage and your hits, your melee hits, which is awesome. We're doing a ton more damage anytime that an enemy is vulnerable. So we definitely want to have this. In order to get that, you can see right down there in the additional bonus, when an enemy is damaged by you, they become vulnerable for 3 seconds. This cannot happen more than, you know, every 20 seconds per enemy. Now you got to meet the requirements for that. You got to get at least 25 strength in this radius of the glyph, which we have just enough. We actually were able to pull out 27. And also, you know, remember that you can level up these glyphs too. When you do the Nightmare Dungeons, you can level your glyphs. You know, like this one right here, I have leveled up a little bit. The one down there I have leveled up. Once you get to level 15 with your glyphs, they take up even more of a radius where they can grab the nodes on the outside. So it's really good to level them up, guys. And remember, this is just at level 65. So after getting this, you know, I came over, I got a couple things right here. 30% increased damage to crowd control, intelligence, more damage, crowd control damage. Over here, vulnerable damage, 12% damage reduction from slowed enemies. You know, we come out here, I came over down into here, 50% increase or 50% damage to healthy enemies, and 100 armor. Now you have to meet the requirements of, you know, 250 intelligence, which wasn't hard to do. But that's a ton of damage to healthy enemies. You know what I mean? And right here we do 12.5%, 12.5%, 12.5%. So that's really awesome. You know, I will be going up next right here into cheap shot in the next couple levels. You know, but like I said, guys, just remember this is a level 65 that I already have in, you know, World Tier 4 Torment, and I'm wrecking already. You know, I'm doing the Nightmare Dungeons and just doing good overall. It only goes up from here. So I'm going to optimize my gear, do everything that I can to get my Paragon board really nice. And then I will do another follow-up build guide to this, guys. So be sure to be on the lookout for that very soon. If you guys ended up enjoying the video, if the video was helpful, leave a comment down below, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Anyways, thanks for watching.